Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to the Big Guy Sports Podcast on USBN Sports here at the USBN Studios. And we're very excited to bring our guest, Steve. I tell you what, John Raymond was the one that brought Allison to our attention.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, I was not aware of her accomplishments, what she has done at Anderson High School.
Yep.
And it is absolutely phenomenal. And I honestly did not know that she was, it's amazing, the stats that you look at. And so I'm glad that, number one, we're starting a new year, new podcast, all that stuff. But to start it off with Allison is unbelievable. We're going to get into some of her accomplishments here in a few minutes.
Yeah, wait till everybody hears her accomplishments. And this is why we do this, Danny, is because, although she graduated just a couple years ago,
right?
I mean, people may not, have remembered or forgot about her stats or whatever. But this is great that we're doing this so we can promote her, so everybody understands why she's in the Anderson Hall of Fame.
Well, and that's why like you said, that's why we do this. And it was when I saw that, I was like, John just kept telling me about it. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't remember. And usually, you and I know pretty much everybody that goes through there. And I was just like, oh my goodness.
Well, I remember. And then when he told me.
Then he calls you Loopy, I guess.
Yeah.
So he told me about that. So I just, then I kind of remember all that. And I'm sorry, I'm going to probably butcher your.
That's okay. Everybody does.
Lupariello. He told me. And
just
I
stop.
just stop. It's bad. How about we go with your married name?
Married name is much easier. Allison Gywnn.
There we go.
But my main name is Lupariello.
Lupariello.
I'm still going to mess it up.
There you go. That was it.
Well, I think most people remember as Loopy, right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So as we said, joining us is Allison Gywnn. How about that? So I don't mess that up because I'm pretty bad. But Allison, really, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. And I know you drove a little bit to get over here in the studio, but thanks again for coming out here and joining us.
Appreciate it. I'm honored to be here.
So let's kind of get into how you also like we always try to start this off by where you grew up, on what side of the street, which the good side, which is here on this side, the Summit side, or the other side. So kind of just get into a little bit about that.
Yeah, I actually grew up on the Turpin side.
I knew it.
But it means even more because I chose Anderson.
That's true. That's a good point.
So yeah, I grew up off of Lawyer Road, just behind Turpin High School, and I went to Mercer Elementary, and I was actually the first class through Nagel Middle School to go 2 years through Nagel Middle School. So at the time, and I'm not sure how it works now, we got to choose Turpin or Anderson, and it was actually Chris Carletti, who was my varsity coach all 4 years, was probably the biggest reason why I chose Anderson. Yeah, obviously, you form friendships and that in middle school, and that was part of it too. But really, basketball, sports, Chris Carletti was the biggest reason why I chose Anderson.
That's awesome.
So back then, you could. There was a period of time where you could choose what high school you wanted to go to, and that was right when Nagel had opened. So how was that with joining up with everybody at Nagel?
Yeah, it was really interesting because I feel like they were definitely in the testing experimental phase. They had the 3 teams, but and I don't know how it works now again, but they split up the 2 top teams for every sport evenly. And that was a big deal for basketball, especially me, who wanted to play competitively. Now we're going against these other, big schools that are all putting their best kids on one team, and now we're diluted, our top talent is diluted.
I think it was like the top team had the 5 best players from Turpin and the 5 best players from Anderson on one team.
Really?
Does that sound right?
That's how it worked after I left.
Okay. I remember at one time it was like that.
Yeah. At first, when I was there the first couple of years, it was mixed up Turpin and Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah, which I don't think really benefited anybody, so I think that's why they ended up switching to the separated.
I mean, and that had a bit hard decision too to then decide, just that bond. I mean, we've talked about this before, is the Anderson-Turpin game, I think, means more to the adults like me and you than it does to some of those kids, because you've grown up playing. You go to one school and then you separate, and it's not as big a deal as it was.
Right, you know them more now. Yeah, more friends.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So when you were at Nagel, did you just play basketball, or?
So I played basketball and volleyball at Nagel, both 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
I had played softball and soccer growing up. Played competitive soccer from like 7 to 11, Cardinals select soccer. But at the time, state cup for soccer was the same as state cup for the state tournament for AAU basketball, travel basketball. So when I was only 10 years old, I had to kind of choose one path or the other. And,
Man,
that's crazy.
It's funny. I was a goalie, and they said that everyone told me, you're too short to play Division I as a goalie for soccer. So I chose basketball, which didn't make sense. But,
that's funny.
So
did you play volleyball in high school too, or no?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I thought about it, and I had stuck with tennis also. So I quit softball and soccer and volleyball. Still played tennis a little bit, but really just wanted to put all my eggs into basketball, and getting a Division I scholarship was kind of all I was focused on.
Did you play tennis at Anderson?
No, I didn't.
You just on the side.
Yeah,
Cinca was the he was the girls' tennis coach.
I wish I would have, but no, I literally was breathing, eating, sleeping, breathing basketball 24 hours a day.
Well, it shows. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Who else was on your teams?
So ahead of me, let's see, the two best players in the year up were Lauren Gruber and Quincy Deeds, now Norwell.
Yeah.
So they were, great players. Ahead of that was Christina Levy, Leah Kaiser, and then below me, 3 years below me, the best player that I played with was Maria Bennett. So she was a freshman when I was a senior.
Wow,
what a great run. I mean, between you and then Maria Bennett and then
Shanice Miller.
I forgot about her.
So she was in 8th grade when I was a senior, so we didn't play together.
And then Madison Temple
coming up.
Madison Temple. We didn't overlap.
Holy cow, that's pretty good.
That's crazy.
That was a good run. I was thinking about that on the way over here. I don't know, who played in college before I got there. Before I was 2005, and it must have been quite a ways.
It was Dana.
Dana
Harmon. We interviewed her.
She graduated in '83.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was probably like you. One. I mean, she was phenomenal. I mean,
she was really, really good.
But one of the stories we had on our podcast was that she was a senior with my brother, and we were freshmen, and I kept telling my brothers, girls can't play basketball, blah, blah, blah. My brother's, really? You want to play her? First 3 shots, she blocked them. Mm-hmm. That's how good. I mean, she was really, really good. I mean, she's obviously in the Hall of Fame too. And
I was trying to think if there was anybody else in that gap. I don't think there is.
That's the only one I remember was Dana, and then Madison.
I know Holly Ennis could have played.
But she didn't. Did Ingrid play?
Norwell? Don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. That is a big gap to then have a whole bunch of.
Heck yeah, that's pretty amazing. So we talked about your reason to go to Anderson was one of the reasons was Coach Carletti. Talk a little bit about playing basketball at Anderson and then also playing for Coach Carletti.
Honestly, it prepared me for college more than I even realized at the time. Looking back, I was deciding whether to go to Turpin, Anderson, Ursuline, and a lot of the players that I played with in college did not have the same high school experience as me. They kind of had it easy. They could do whatever they want. There just wasn't a lot of structure, it seemed like. And Coach Carletti ran, very structured practices, ran a flex offense that I actually also ran a flex offense in college. There were a lot of screens, a lot of ball movement, sometimes lower scoring games, but he believed in, a certain number of passes a lot of times and flare screens, which is, a more advanced type of screen than most high school girls are ever taught. But it definitely prepared me for the next level, his coaching style.
And then talk a little bit about some of the players you play. You've mentioned some of them before, but was there what sticks? I mean, did go from your freshman? Were you just in awe when you were out there playing, or were you pretty much?
I feel like I came in a good spot where they didn't really have a solid point guard, so I was able to just get in the mix. And I think I came off the bench my first game, and then I started my second game freshman year and started after that. So Coach Carletti, gave me a lot of confidence as far as that's concerned right off the bat, but he did a good job to always beat me down and not let me get a big head and tell me if I was taking bad shots because I tended to shoot the ball.
That's all right. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. We're kind of going to get into your incredible accomplishments here at Anderson. Your 4-year starter, 1,173 points scored.
You got to say that again.
1,173 points scored. That is just amazing. That is probably 1,170 more than I scored in my high school career, I think. Wasn't it about right, Steve?
I think you're adding wrong. It's a little more than that. No, it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
And what's sad is that we don't know who the top 5 are, but there's no question. I mean, do you know, Allison? Do you know where you stand?
I honestly, the only 3 that I know personally that are, well, I guess 4 would be me, Maria Bennett, Shanice Miller, and Madison Temple. I know we're all over 1,000, and
and I think Holly was close too. Wasn't she?
Holly was close, and Dana was close. Yeah, I mean,
but that's incredible.
Still got to be top 5.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. And then you go off that, you go first team all conference 2003, 2004, and 5, first team all city and all district. This one is amazing to me. 7 entries in the Ohio High School Athletic Association state records. That is incredible. It really is incredible.
I have John Raymond to thank for that.
No, but that's awesome. And then this other one's another big one too. Is these last 2, the Wendy's National High School Heisman nominee, and then a 4.3 grade point average. I mean, that's some you got to be pretty happy with what happened.
I appreciate it.
So I mean, out of those, I mean, maybe your parents might say the 4.3 is what they're most proud of. But I mean, do you have one that, or maybe one of the ones at state records that you feel the most proud of?
Honestly, it may be the state record. You know, you hate to say an individual record, but I feel like the free throw was something, and I say John Raymond, it's kind of twofold why I thank him.
Was it like 90% or something, or what was it?
Yeah, I think, well, this season, I think it was like 89%. And then there was a career also, I'm not sure what it was, in the 80s. But John Raymond specifically would stay after practice with me every single day, anytime I would ask, just to shoot sometimes 100 free throws.
Really?
And I would, try to see how many in a row I could get, which sometimes could take a while. But no, he was the biggest supporter of me. And I know, like, those entries, who knows how many people have stats and records that never get entered, but John Raymond took it upon himself to go look that up and do the research and make the submission. So I'm grateful to him for that. He's always been a good fan.
Yeah, he's he does a lot of stuff for both of us and helps me out on our broadcast and everything. So, and actually John was, like we said, the one that brought us to you. So I'm glad that John kept working hard for you.
So Allison, I got a question for you. So back then, as we said, it was just a couple of years ago, but what was your training like? I mean, I know you played AAU, you said. What separated you from the other girls that played, that made you so great? So,
I mean, obviously I'm 5'6". I'm not the fastest out there, can't jump the highest, so I just spent all my time ball handling and shooting. Okay. Every single day, all day. I knew my skills had to be the best. I got really serious into weightlifting between my freshman and sophomore year, and put on like 15 pounds of muscle, which doesn't seem like a lot, but back then it was a lot. Sure. And it's funny, I actually had a Division II coach tell me back when I was a freshman, "Oh, you're too skinny to ever play Division I. You're too small, too skinny." And no one ever told me that again. I got very serious into weightlifting. But no, it was, honestly, I was in my backyard. My dad would rebound for me every single day. Before every single game, we'd go up to Mercy Anderson Healthplex. When it was brand new, it had just opened when I was probably 8th, maybe 7th grade, and would go up there and shoot around. And Alex Meacham would be up there all the time, which I hear he's still up there all the time. Lives there. He's got a cot there somewhere. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know at the time he only trained boys, but I said, if you're ever willing to work out with me, and he trained me a few times before I went away to college. That taught me a lot as well. But yeah. That's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about your recruiting process and getting to Drexel. When did that all start, the recruiting? Talking to you or Carletti, because the recruiting process has changed over the years, and now with the social media, it's all different in how that approach comes forward. But how did that all go for you, and how did you end up at Drexel? Yeah, so a lot of mine was through AAU. It started probably 7th, 8th grade year, and I dreamed of playing Division I. Didn't know if that was really possible. I was on a pretty good AAU team that played all in tournaments all over the country. So started getting Division I looks in my 7th and 8th grade year. And then as I got into high school, I realized, that I probably needed to move to another AAU team for my final recruiting season, just to get more national recognition. Because some players do get it in high school, but it's kind of the ones that go far into the state tournament. And we never made any real run at Anderson when I was there. So most of my looks did come from AAU.
Okay.
Basketball. Yeah.
Who did you play for?
So I played for. It was Queen City Jaguars. They're not even in existence anymore.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Where were they based out of?
So it was all over the state of Ohio, and we played at the time we were sponsored by Adidas, so we played at Adidas national tournaments. But in my class was the 2005 class was Michelle Jones, who played at UC. We had a girl play at Ohio State, one play at Michigan State. So I was like,
holy cow!
Yeah,
Is that right?
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like this tiny little point guard playing with all these very high level recruits. So I felt very, very blessed. And that's actually when Drexel saw me was playing in that last year of AAU, even though I had been recruited by, a lot of local and more Midwest Division I schools at that point. But then that final year of AAU, I got recruited by more East Coast, and I realized maybe I do want to go away from home. And honestly, throughout the recruiting process, it was a struggle to get coaches to believe that I could do engineering and play basketball. A lot of them didn't even have civil engineering programs, and then the ones that did said, "Oh, no, you're probably going to do sports, nothing against communications, sports management, business."
That's crazy.
Those are phenomenal fields, but yeah, I was very
It's a lot of work doing engineering.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying that they would just kind of like, don't do that,
Yeah, and honestly, I don't necessarily blame them, because the amount of work, most high school kids don't really know how to anticipate or how to balance that. But I was dead set that I want to do engineering, so I finally found a school that was
awesome, willing
to support me in both genuinely. So I was, very appreciative that Drexel had a great engineering program. Not only that, but the coaches put such a high importance on academics and supported me doing both, because it's not a normal major where professors, can excuse people for missing classes and being on the road for a week at a time.
Right.
They didn't really care that I played basketball.
Right. So. Well, that's incredible. Well, let's talk about your playing days at college. Talk about how the transition was from high school to college. What was the biggest I guess the hardest thing for you to transition from high school to college?
Honestly, I think it was easier for me than other people, only because I was so regimented in how I trained myself personally with weightlifting and the every single day ball handling, shooting. These were things that then became mandated, and not just that you want to do because you're trying to reach a certain goal. And that was a big struggle for most girls that I played with, was they were just naturally athletic, naturally gifted, all these things that came to them easily that now they were required to do 7 days a week. But yeah, I think the biggest adjustment was definitely from me being far away from home, being 9 hours away from my parents. Drexel's in Philadelphia.
Right.
So somebody who had never, been away from my parents for any amount of time, they came to every single game, every tournament
that
I ever played in.
Oh, that's awesome.
So even my freshman year in college, I redshirted, and they still drove to Philadelphia 9 hours. Yeah.
Wow.
Everyone thought they were crazy, but
even for the weekday game.
Oh, they made it. Yeah, they were there.
That's dedication right there.
It is dedication. Yeah.
That is awesome.
But I think a lot of it, though, you said you had that lot of structure with AAU, and I'm sure that probably, Coach Carletti had a big influence on it too, but playing AAU probably helped too, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And definitely that final year of AAU that I mentioned, playing with those high profile players, everyone had the same goal. Everyone was being recruited by Division I schools, so they kind of made it structured to try to prepare you for the next level. So that definitely helped.
Did you know anybody there at Drexel before going there?
I didn't know anybody. Yeah. And it's funny. I like the fact that they had a co-op program. It's funny now, I realize a lot of people come overseas and they choose between University of Cincinnati and Drexel, because apparently they're like the only two good engineering co-op programs that are, 5-year majors, which I went into it knowing I was going to do a 5-year major without knowing I was going to redshirt. So it worked out well for me. They ended up redshirting my first year and still got all 5 years paid for it. So.
That's great. Did you have any any games that you played at Drexel that just kind of sticks out for you or any players you played against?
Yeah, I played a lot against a lot of great players. Several that ended up going on to the next level and playing in the WNBA. Old Dominion was the reigning champs for 13 years in a row for the CAA, the Colonial,
Right.
which now they've restructured the conferences, but at the time, the Colonial was Old Dominion, George Mason, James Madison, Towson, Northeastern, VCU, all up and down the East Coast. And Old Dominion women's program had won 13 years in a row and gone to the NCAA tournament. And being a mid-major conference, you never got an at-large bid. So my junior year, we actually won. We beat Old Dominion to win the CAA championship.
Awesome.
So went to the NCAA for the only time in school history.
Really?
So, yeah.
Did you ever play UConn?
No, we did not. No, we played Maryland. Maryland. We played Penn State. Were the biggest schools that we played. Yeah,
Was that pretty cool?
Never played UConn, but yeah, it was cool. We got to play at Maryland and at Penn State. So.
That's pretty awesome.
Wow. Well, all right. Well, so let's get into your family. So you're married now. You live back in town here.
Yeah.
How long have you been back here, and what got you back here?
So I met my husband in Philadelphia. He's from Philadelphia.
Oh.
And we got engaged when I was a junior. I had 1 year left. Well,
Right.
Got engaged in my fourth year out of 5 years.
Right.
And then we moved back here immediately after I graduated in 2010. Got married in 2010 just over at Anderson Hills United Methodist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we've really lived here ever since. We had a house in Blue Ash for 3 years. Then he actually coached at Kent State University for just a year, women's basketball. And then we moved back here and lived in Loveland for 3 years. And now we actually own a bar in Northern Kentucky.
What?
And
What's the name of the bar?
yeah, John Raymond didn't tell you that?
No.
So it's called Danielle's Bellevue Tavern.
I've heard of that.
So it's so we just opened in October 2019, 5 months before COVID
Wow.
hit. Yeah, I know. It's a sports bar, super cool neighborhood spot that you guys should check out.
we're definitely
Is it
check
right
it
on
out.
Route 8?
Yeah, it's right on Fairfield Avenue. Yeah.
Yep.
Right there on the main
I know
strip.
where it's at.
Dang,
Yep.
we're gonna have to make that a
That's
regular
awesome.
stop now.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
It's just I always tell people, I'm like, it was never my dream to own a bar. It was my husband's dream. But if I have to own a bar, it's like the perfect location, the perfect neighborhood, perfect size. It's just a small little, 1,100 square foot neighborhood sports bar, very homey.
You guys work it?
So I do civil engineering still. I still have my full-time job. My husband does that full-time.
Okay.
So, yeah. He tries to say it's his job. I need to leave it alone. But I help out on the back end, finances
So
and
he's out of
taxes,
coaching now?
stuff. Yeah. So we still were doing a lot of training up until just a couple years ago. Sort of our last round of girls went off to college, and we keep in touch. And when they come in town, sometimes we'll pick up some training. But for now, we've got our hands full with opening the new bar and then my engineering. And
Wow.
Did your husband play college basketball?
he played junior college basketball. Yeah.
Really?
He was one of those that wanted to play at Division I, Division II, and then went junior college. Tried to walk on at St. Joe's University, actually, when they had the really good team with Jameer Nelson and Delonte West. Yeah. And several guys ended up playing in the NBA. So he got into coaching then, decided to go the coaching route with coaching awesome. JV at St. Joe's.
Does he miss coaching?
He does. He misses coaching. I miss coaching. So I think we'll get into it again, definitely.
But you live in Loveland?
So no, now we live in Northern Kentucky.
Oh, you live over there now?
Yeah, we moved from Loveland. Yeah, it was with the bar, especially pre-COVID, and we're 2 a.m. every night. We didn't want to go back and forth. So
it's good.
You're not pulling at 2 a.m. in the morning though, too, are you? I mean, working the.
No, usually no.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow, that's awesome.
That is nuts. So let's do this thing. We kind of always do this. I mean, one of the things you kind of just mentioned a little bit. Do you still talk to some of your high school friends? I mean, do you still kind of keep in touch, and you guys do end up getting together?
I try to. Yeah, we haven't gotten together in a long time. I've kept in touch with, as far as who I played with, obviously a lot of us are friends on social media is the easiest way to keep in touch. But Aaron Stowe, I've probably kept in touch with more than anyone.
Yes. So Coach Stowe's daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's see, Leslie Bruns, my husband and I went to her wedding. Let's see, Lauren Gruber and Quincy Dees. Quincy Dees I talked to a little bit. My stepson, who's actually 21 years old, played for just a year for Coach Chris Norwell over at Thomas More.
Oh, played football over there.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So he moved from Philadelphia back to here and actually graduated from Loveland High School and got recruited by Thomas More.
Okay.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
Wow. That's really
That's
cool.
pretty cool. So, I mean, I know you said you lived on the Turpin side, but the thing that we always bring up to everybody, whether it's Turpin side or you went to Turpin McNick, whatever, but just talk a little bit about why you think, we get a lot of people that tell us how awesome it is when we do this to catch up with people. So, and obviously Steve and I have lived here all of our life. So what is it like for you, and what makes Anderson so special for you to live in, Philadelphia, to come back here to this area, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, obviously my family is all here. That was the biggest thing for me. And actually I've had several cousins that have come through Anderson after me, and Turpin, both actually still have a couple there now still. But I just love the area, love the family dynamics of all of it, love the school district is phenomenal. And I don't think you really realize until you go on to college and go into the workforce that, I think language arts and English, the writing skills, I think, that are taught through Forest Hill School District is probably underestimated and phenomenal compared to most, because you really use it and prepares you for life, for the workforce, for everything. And I think that was a big differentiator for Forest Hill School District compared to others, just from what I've seen.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that we always try to do when we wrap these things up is probably put you on a spot. I probably should have kind of warned you about this but you might have seen some of these other podcasts. But talk about, you kind of mentioned something about college, but talk about like maybe your favorite high school memory, college, and then maybe a favorite teacher or coach. I know you kind of brought up Carletti, but maybe you got a favorite teacher. Put you on the spot.
I know, because now
favorite high school, maybe a game or.
I don't think any. So favorite memory, honestly, just my teammates. All the memories that I have with them. Honestly, my favorite memory is probably just John Raymond rebounding for me afterwards.
Perfect.
But and Coach Carletti too. I feel like I remember bugging him. I swear, after every single loss, I would go into his room at 7:15 in the morning the next day. We got to talk about this. What do I need to do? What do we need to do?
That's awesome.
And he's like, Loopy, just don't worry about it. It's a new day. We'll get it. He probably didn't want to be bugged. I know he took it to heart too, and he took it very seriously. But he knew how much I would stress out about it, and he tried to get me to relax.
That's awesome.
Not take things so personal, like the weight was on my shoulder.
That's funny.
What about favorite teacher?
Favorite teacher? I can't remember his name now, but it's honestly why I went into engineering, was my AP physics teacher. A lot of the teachers aren't there anymore. I know Carrie Lee is still there, right?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
She was, one of my math teachers. She was awesome.
Yeah, I've been trying, because half of the teachers probably are gone.
By
the time we were there.
Almost everybody says Cinco, and we're like, oh God, Cinco's paying everybody.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Coleman.
I didn't have Coleman.
Mr. Wolf. What about Mr. Wolf?
I did not have Wolf either, yeah.
Did you go to Anderson?
I did. Well, I was trying to think, my AP English teacher graduated shortly after. I'm not good at remembering names.
I'm trying to think who.
We'll go with Carrie Lee, because she's still there.
Okay. All right. I was just trying to remember.
We didn't make it that high in those kind of classes.
They didn't have those classes.
Yeah, they didn't offer that.
They did.
We had skills for independent living.
Stop bragging.
And foods class is what we had.
Yeah. How's that worked out?
Yeah, it's real well.
Do you remember Fuller?
Yeah, Mr. Fuller. Sure.
I don't remember his
Chris
first name.
Fuller.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There you go. That was my favorite teacher.
There it is.
There you go. We got it.
He would play NPR, I remember.
That's awesome. Now, so again, we're talk about real quick. We're gonna do another plug for the bar. Talk about the bar again. Where it's at? What's it called? And just kind of what you guys. Is it just like a smaller, like Salem Gardens type bar, or is it bigger than that? Or
so it is 1,100 square feet. It's got a pool table in the back, which is awesome because it's the only bar on the strip in Bellevue that has a pool table. We play all the sports games. Have all the the NFL Sunday. We have 2 Sunday tickets, so we make sure we get all the games covered.
Nice.
My husband's a big Eagles fan, so we always got Eagles and Bengals on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no food, just regular barb. You can bring in food. It's right next to the old Marianne Theater, if anyone knows the historic Marianne Theater in Bellevue. But yeah, it's called Danielle's Bellevue Tavern, 615 Fairfield.
There you go.
It's actually named after Danielle Eccles, who I played basketball with, Basketball Connection, played at Coleraine, and she passed away from a brain aneurysm in just 2018 at 31 years old. So.
Well, it's kind of cool that it's named.
Yeah, that's a great honor.
That's pretty awesome. Well, Steve, it looks like we have another bar that we have to
road trip.
I mean, maybe we should do a podcast from the old bar.
We can do one from there.
Set all this up.
We interview your husband.
And then just go like this and get around. Is that, just.
That's right.
A few times.
Just a couple of times. But Allison, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. I know driving all the way over here. And again, it's incredible. Now we're going to have to give John crap because John said he was showing up tonight to talk to Loopy and he didn't show up. So, I mean, that's going to have to knock him down some notches.
You'll have to put him on the podcast when you come to the bar.
That's right.
Yeah, so I have to do that and put him on there. So I'm going to try to not mess this up. So it's Allison Lupariello. God, see, I had it in my, I kept sitting in my head, kept doing it, so I'm not going to even say it anymore, but I appreciate you taking the time.
Loopy.
Yeah, we'll just go Loopy.
There you go.
But taking the time to join us, it really means a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people out there that are watching this we really get a lot of good responses off this, and I think a lot of your former classmates are going to love it. I know John's going to promote the crap out of it. He will. So, but really, again, thanks for joining us here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
So for Steve Ellis, Dan Albers, and Allison Loopy, we're going to wrap it up here on. You've been watching This Week in Anderson on the Big Eye Sports Podcast. Good night, everybody.